Natural gas price soars 700% in Europe. Saudi Arabia raises oil prices in Asia again. Vital TSMC supplier warns of materials price hike. Raw material shortage in Germany until next year. Heatwaves expected to sweep northern China. Italy declares state of emergency for the Po River. Antibiotic-resistant typhoid a global problem. First cat-to-human COVID case.
Hello, I'm Peggy. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. It is Wednesday, July 6th, and here are your top stories. Bloomberg reported that natural gas prices jumped some 700% in Europe since the start of last year, pushing the continent to the brink of recession. As the main Nord Stream's pipeline that carries Russian gas to Germany is due to shut down on July 11th for 10 days of maintenance, the fear is growing that Moscow may not reopen it. Germany says gas shortfalls could trigger a Lehman Brothers-like collapse as Europe's economic powerhouse faces the unprecedented prospect of businesses and consumers running out of power.
It is a serious issue.
Bloomberg reported that G7 leaders vowed last week during the summit in Madrid to back public investments in gas projects, saying they're necessary in response to the current crisis. In Europe, plans for about 20 terminals have been announced or sped up. But Europe's breakneck efforts won't be enough. According to Bloomberg Intelligence, liquid natural gas imports could meet 40% of the region's 2026 gas needs. This figure is double what it was at the same time last year, but still far short of the amount that Russia has been supplying.
Bloomberg reported that on July 5th, Saudi Arabia's state oil producer Saudi Aramco raises key Arab light crude grade for Asian customers to $9.3 a barrel starting in July. This $2.8 a barrel increase is almost a record high and above the regional benchmark. The media said that the price increase are signs that underlying demand remains robust despite growing recessionary concerns. Bloomberg said that Saudi Arabia ships about 60% of its crude exports to Asia, with China, Japan, India, and South Korea being the biggest buyers.
The media reported that many refineries in Asia are running almost at full capacity and have seen their margins soar, enabling them to accept higher prices for crude from Saudi Arabia and other producers in the Persian Gulf. But Citigroup said that crude would probably fall to $85 a barrel by the end of 2022. And could drop to $65 a barrel in the event of a severe recession. World's biggest independent oil trader, Vitol Group, also said on July 3rd that prices were starting to weigh on demand.
Bloomberg reported on July 5th that Japanese chemical supplier Showa Denko expects to further raise prices on top of at least a dozen hikes already this year. The company's chief financial officer, Hideki Somemiya, said that the price hikes are reflecting COVID-19 supply snarls, surging energy costs from the war in Ukraine, and the yen's dramatic weakening. He assumed that the situation is unlikely to significantly improve until at least 2023. Somemiya said there's nothing positive about the current rising materials costs.
Toyo Securities analyst Hideki Yasuda said that Showa Denko is far from alone in raising prices, as other component makers and materials suppliers have been making similar moves to cope with the tough market. Bloomberg News has reported that chipmakers like TSMC and Samsung Electronics have notified their own customers that they intend to raise prices. Yasuda said that consumers of durable goods, like electronics, won't be spared higher price tags further down the road.
A survey published by the Munich Info Institute showed that a raw material shortage for German industry will last at least another 10 months and will into next year. In the survey, 74.1% of companies complained in June about bottlenecks and problems with the procurement of preliminary products and raw materials. In the electrical, mechanical engineering, and automotive industries, around 90% of companies reported that they have not obtained all their needed raw materials and preliminary products.
auf den Dienstleistungssektor zurückzuführen.
Klaus Wallarb, the head of IFO Surveys, said that at 7.2 months, the expected duration of delivery problems is the shortest in metal production and processing, but longest in the beverage industry at 13.1 months. Not a single industry is assuming that the supply problems will be resolved this year. He said that, unfortunately, delivery bottlenecks are now a part of everyday life for many companies. The Federation of German Industries recently complained that China's questionable zero-COVID strategy is paralyzing global trade.
On July 5th, China's National Meteorological Center warned that heat waves are predicted to sweep through northern China over the next 2 weeks. For 4 to 6 days, the regions of Xinjiang, Inner Mongolia, and Ningxia, and the provinces of Hebei, Henan, Gansu, and Shanxi will see temperatures of more than 40 degrees Celsius, which will impact more than 250 million people. The risk of forest fires and harm to the stable growth of crops such as rice, cotton, and corn can also be expected.
整个上一星期39、40度，今天还40度的。原来挂的有温度计，下午2到3点的时候都上到45到47度原来。
The deputy head of the National Meteorological Center, Fang Xiang, said that drought-like conditions are expected to affect crops in Shandong, Anhui, Henan, Shanxi, and Gansu. He cautioned, the lasting high temperatures will cause a marked impact on production and life, such as increased pressure on the power supply. He said that in June, heat waves affected nearly half of China's population. The load on part of northern China's power grid saw new heights last month, which affected energy supply.
On Monday, July 4th, Italy declared a state of emergency for areas surrounding the Po River. The government decree will allow authorities to cut through red tape and take action immediately if they think it necessary, such as to impose water rationing for homes and businesses. The government said that the emergency measures would cover lands that border the Po and the water basins of the Eastern Alps. Po is Italy's largest river, which accounts for roughly a third of the country's agricultural production and is suffering its worst drought in 70 years.
Abbiamo visto che la neve durante l'inverno ha raggiunto il picco del meno 60-70% e quindi questo ha...
The Secretary General of the Po River Basin Authority, Macuso Berselli, said, the Po runs from the northwestern city of Turin to Venice. The drying up of the Po is jeopardizing drinking water in Italy's densely populated and highly industrialized districts and threatening irrigation in the most intensively farmed part of the country, known as the Italian Food Valley. The farmers of the Po Valley produce 40% of Italian food. Parmesan cheese, wheat, high-quality tomatoes, rice, and famous grapes grow in large quantities in the area.
Scientists found that between 2014 and 2019, 100,000 people die every year from typhoid fever after being infected with S. typhi bacteria. Moreover, a research team at Stanford University found that treatment-resistant typhoid originating mostly from South Asia has springboarded across borders almost 200 times in the past 3 decades. The Stanford researchers said that the number of strains of the S. typhi bacteria climbed sharply and frequently spread to other countries. They were able to overpower macrolides and quinolones, 2 important types of antibiotics for the treatment of typhoid.
Salmonellosis is transmitted via infected animals and is consumed usually on raw meat or eggs. Typhoid is different in that it only infects humans.
Jason Andrews, an associate professor at Stanford University and the study's lead author, said that antibiotic-resistant strains of S. typhi spreading internationally so frequently also underscores the need to view typhoid control and antibiotic resistance more generally as a global rather than a local problem. He has urged that prevention measures be put in place, particularly in high-risk nations which include Bangladesh, India, Nepal, and Pakistan.
Nature reported that a team in Thailand found the first solid evidence of a pet cat infecting a person with SARS-CoV-2. Salonio Gusli, an infectious disease researcher and physician at Prince of Songkhla University in Hat Yai, southern Thailand, said that last August, a father and son who had tested positive for SARS-CoV-2 were transferred to an isolation ward at the university's hospital. Their 10-year-old cat was also swabbed and tested positive. While being swabbed, the cat sneezed in the face of the veterinary surgeon.
Earlier pandemic research has shown that cats shed infectious virus particles and can infect other cats, but this is the first documented case of cat-to-human transmission.
Chirsi said that while the vet was wearing a mask and gloves but no eye protection, 3 days later the vet developed a fever, sniffles, and a cough, and later tested positive for SARS-CoV-2, but none of her close contacts developed COVID-19, suggesting that she had been infected by the cat. Genetic analysis also confirmed that the vet was infected with the same variant as the cat and its owners. In addition, the viral genomic sequences were identical. Researchers say that such cases of cat-to-human transmission are probably rare.
And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. Let's make every day a fun day. I'm Peggy, your host. I'll see you next time.